Hey everyone, it's Adam Helfman from Hire It Done. Welcome to the podcast. Today I'm going to give you such valuable information on when the project gets started. This is all about being prepared for the unexpected costs that may arise. And trust me, it's going to happen. So you're in the middle of the job. You did all your due diligence. You found the right contractor. They're communicating great. And it's demo day. They tear the walls out. And there it is. Rotted wood. Mold. Oh my God, what are you going to do? Well, here's the deal. These are what we call unanticipated costs, latent defects. There are many items that can kill your budget when you put together a remodeling job. Remember, the best contractors, as experienced as they are, they don't have x-ray vision. However, they can warn you of potential extra costs that can arise. I always tell homeowners, ask the contractor, in your experience, what kind of extra costs would arise in a bathroom remodel? This is one of those times. These are unanticipated latent defects. And this, and the cost of that, and the repair will throw the whole project off budget. So what's the solution to an unanticipated or something that you never planned on? Well, here's what I suggest. Whatever your budget is, whatever the sales price is of the project, whatever you've agreed to, always have a 10 or 15% cushion on the side for these types of events. So if you have a $50,000 bathroom or kitchen remodel, $5,000, $7,500, maybe even $10,000 on the side that you hope you don't use, but it's there just in case. Because when you're doing this, these are unanticipated. No one planned on it. And of course, the contractor, he never wants you to think that it was planned. It's one of those things. And a structural flaw, biohazard like mold, can derail a whole project. That's number one. Now, how your contractor handles that is also important. Again, back to what the original questions are. When a change order comes, the contractor, that's the right one, will say to you, Mrs. Jones, we just demoed your walls. We found some rotted wood and some mold. But I've already got my guy estimating the repair, and we were going to talk about how we're going to test for the mold, or if it's not, if it's dormant, how we're going to prepare your bathroom so it doesn't spread through the house. That's the contractor you want, the one that's solution-minded. So, unanticipated structural problems, latent defects, that's what you got to be prepared for. When your project's off kilter like that, just know there's always a way to solve it. Don't fret. So you've had a structural defect and it turns into a change order because the solution is what the contractor tells you. We're going to remove the mold. We're going to remove the rotted wood. We're going to reframe it. We're going to treat the mold and you're going to be good. That's going to cost you X. That's called a change order. And when a change order happens, that's also a cost. Now, what if the contractor says to you, Mrs. Jones, this change order, it's no cost. We can fix this, no money. You're like, this is great. But remember this, friends, the job's still going to take longer. Remember, when they stop to fix rotted wood, when they stop to treat mold or whatever it is, there's an interruption in the progress of the job. That costs time. Time is money. By the way, time is the new currency, so you got to be prepared for that. So change orders, even if it's no charge, still costs money. Always remember that. Now, when it does cost and there's more, we absolutely need to be planning for it. So that's when you dip into your side slush fund. And again, you try to avoid it, but it's a necessary evil when remodeling. Another problem that can arise on a job is when the inspector shows up and he starts red tagging things that are like out of code or violations of the code. And it's very irritating because if you're doing a bathroom, okay, and you're doing everything by the book, but the inspector comes in and says, oh, since we're here, you need to do hardwire smoke detectors in the whole house. I'll call it overreach. And the reason is because they are there to try and protect you, but sometimes it's not necessary. So when there's a code situation on the inspection. You either agree and say, okay, if I hardwire smoke detectors, I'm actually safer. Maybe it's time to do that. But then there are times where the contractor and the homeowner have added more lights, added more circuits, and the panel needs to be upgraded. That's a change order that no one planned on. Now, I will say this. I was taught when estimating a project, a kitchen, a bath, a room addition, whatever it was, if it's full construction and it involves electrical, always check the panel. Always see if you have to upgrade the panel, because a 60 amp panel, 100 amp panel, sometimes today with all the devices, it needs to go to 150 or 200 amps. That's important to check. Now, a competent contractor will check that, but sometimes it does get missed. That's another change order that will interrupt the rhythm of the work and cost you more. A new panel for your electrical is $2,500 on average right now. That's got to come out of that side slush fund. So remember, change orders, following the codes, structural flaws, those are 3 items that are always looming around your project. Another unexpected cost, although not always really expensive, but can impact your side money or your slush fund for your budget on your project, and that's the cost of permits. Contractors will say, here's the price of your job plus permits, because every city, every project, the permits vary. So they don't have an exact price. If I call up a local city and say, hey, I'm doing a kitchen, what's the permit? They say, well, it's based on the price of the project. So that's where the vary comes in. So the price of the permit could be $500, could be $1,500. What I would say is tell your contractor, hey, can you give me a range just so I know? Because sometimes if they call the building department, local building department can say to them, hey, yeah, the typical kitchen permit in our town is $750. So at that point, the contractor can say $750 to $1,000. Always the lower number should be where it should fall. But whatever that has, that's allowing you to keep track and understand what's needed and what's necessary when planning for any additional extras that you just don't anticipate. Here's another unanticipated cost that just comes into the job from the homeowner's perspective, and it's caused by the homeowner, and that's called upgrades. Everyone loves to upgrade. However, every time you upgrade, it costs money. Let me give you an example. In your bathroom remodeling job, the contractor says you have $4 a square foot for your tile allowance. And you say to him, okay, great, we have 300 square foot. I got $4 a square foot. That's $1,200 I can spend on my tile. Great. And you're having trouble picking out tile, so the contractor says, hey, go to the local tile supplier and go in there and know that you have $4. Pick out what you want. You're like, okay, great. I have 300 square feet and I have a $4 allowance. You go in there and next thing you know, you look around, you're overwhelmed with hundreds and hundreds of choices of tile. And right smack dab in the middle of the aisle is a pallet of marble. And that marble is $20 a square foot. However, they have 300 square foot left and it's discounted to $10 a square foot. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to get $30 a square foot tile for $10. And you're like, okay, I want to get this. Let me reserve this. And you're like, okay, I have a $4 a square foot allowance, but I'm spending $10. Now I owe $6 a square foot extra. There's 300 square foot and $6 extra is $1,800. Okay, so now you've just spent an extra $1,800 on tile that you like, and you're getting great flooring, you're getting a great deal. However, that just ate into your slush fund, $1,800. Now, what you don't know is you're going to go back to the contractor and you're going to say, oh my God, we got this great marble. It was on sale. And the contractor's like, oh, Mrs. Jones, that's a good idea and we'll do it. However, my tile setter charges an extra $2 a square foot to put marble as opposed to ceramic. So now $2 a square foot at $300 square foot is $600 more plus your $1,800 Okay, so now that's $2,400 you've just spent. And you're like, ooh, well, we might as well do it. And that tells me the 4 dirty words of home improvement. We might as well. That's where you get your biggest budget breaker right there. The 4 dirty words of home improvement. We might as well. Here's another extra that impacts your budget and goes into your slush fund or draws from your slush fund. And that is renting extra space or actually moving out of your house. On a bigger project, sometimes with the dust, the construction, you have pets, you have kids, no kitchen, it may be better off to rent a house or move out into a hotel for a short term. That's a cost. Not only do you have the cost of the overnight stays, but you also have cost of food. Make sure you figure that out, and your contractor, the professional, competent ones, will work with you and say, okay, yes, I would prefer you move out during this phase. And if they say 30 days, maybe you want to do 45 days. And the reason why I say this is because every project, even the most competent contractor's schedule, always takes longer. It is what it is. That's one of the budget busters. Another one is renting a pod or temporary storage. You're moving all the stuff out of a house. Your basement's loaded, your kitchen's loaded, your garage is loaded. Where are you going to put everything? You can have a pod delivered, or you can hire a moving company and go to storage. Those are expenses that are outside of the original scope and proposal for your work. Again, those go towards your slush fund. Now think about it. If you have all these adding up, that slush fund is depleting very quickly. That's why it's important to plan accordingly for the best home improvement project you can have. I hope you found this information useful and valuable. If you do, visit hireitdone.com and please subscribe to my podcast.